Welcome back to the channel where we explore, learn, and theorize about the Marvel Universe. Today I'll be breaking down the 6th episode of WandaVision, so if you haven't watched it yet or if you don't want any spoilers, don't worry, you can watch the first half of the video normally, where I'll be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier's viewer anticipation and how it blows every other Marvel and Star Wars project out of the water, Black Widow's hybrid release, and Rintrah and Doctor Strange 2. If you're new to the channel, or even if you've been watching for a while, make sure you subscribe because more than 96% of you guys aren't subscribed. And if you think you're subbed, double check because apparently there's a glitch where people are getting unsubscribed from certain channels. And remember that a subscription is free for you, but it really helps the channel a lot. And you can always unsub later if you want. Now let's get started. TV Time is a movie and entertainment tracking platform that dove into Disney's analytics and discovered that the viewer anticipation for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is hovering over 200% of what it was for The Mandalorian at a similar point from release. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier also leads in anticipation over WandaVision by 43% in the same time period. TV Time goes even further to note that Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan's show has been in the top 3 of their most anticipated new shows since last April. Their calculations also mention that the Super Bowl spot for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier led to a 10% increase in audience growth off the strength of that short peak alone. And if you saw the trailer, you might have seen that it broke records, getting 125 million views in 24 hours, beating out any previous Marvel or Star Wars trailer by a large margin. Black Widow was the closest at last year's Super Bowl, getting 119 million views in its first 24 hours. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker got 111 million, and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier more than doubled WandaVision's trailer, which only got 53 million in its first 24 hours after release. Next, during Disney's latest investors call, they announced that Black Widow is still on for a theatrical release, but they want to be flexible and are monitoring the opening of theaters very closely. And Raya and the Last Dragon is releasing in both theaters and on Disney Plus on March 5th, 2021, which will be what they're really monitoring. They want to see how well the movie does in theaters compared to on premiere access. Moving on, Hugill has joined the cast of Marvel Studios as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and according to the direct sources, Hugill is likely playing Rintrah, an alien minotaur who possesses magic powers in Marvel Comics. And lastly, the 6th episode of WandaVision just came out, so if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, then click off the video now, as I'll be breaking down the 6th episode and covering all the Easter eggs. So once again, there will be major spoilers ahead for WandaVision episode 6. Starting off, we see Wanda walk downstairs wearing her comic-accurate red costume, and Pietro makes a joke about how it's worse than the costumes their mom made them wear when they were younger. But Wanda says that's not how she remembers it, hinting at Pietro not being the same exact person. There's something slightly wrong, and she's starting to notice. We then see Vision walk down in his comic-accurate costume as well, and he lies to Wanda about going to a neighborhood watch meeting. But what's interesting is that this episode is similar to Malcolm in the Middle, with Billy talking to the camera. And when Wanda and Vision are arguing, Billy talks to the camera again. But Pietro looks at him like it's weird. Tommy's just staring at the TV, unaware of what Billy is doing, acting like a normal character in the sitcom should. But Pietro doesn't seem to be bound by the same laws of the show. We then transition over to Sword, where we once again see that Hayward has some ulterior plan to what he's actually doing. First he shot a missile at Wanda, and now he removed Monica Rambeau, Jimmy Woo, and Darcy Lewis from the operation. But before they can be transported away, Jimmy and Monica beat up the guards. They then break into a lab and find out that Hayward is tracking Vision, but they can't figure out why. And as Darcy finds out, Hayward is hiding something big from them, which she emails to Jimmy Woo. So even if they don't reveal what it is in this show, we'll definitely see it eventually, possibly in the Jimmy Woo Agents of Atlas show. Anyway, Monica says that she wants to go back inside, but Darcy tells her she can't. Not only because going through the hex is changing her, which Monica blows off, saying that she's seen enough lab results to last her a lifetime, and then comparing them to cancer cells like the ones her mom had, clearly setting up Monica getting her powers soon, but also because Hayward has her blood samples, which means he might be able to track her inside the town. Back in Westview, Wanda, Pietro, Billy, and Tommy go trick-or-treating, and Pietro calls the kids Demon Spawn, which is a reference to the comic since Billy and Tommy are actually fragments of Mephisto's soul. And we also see that Pietro, Billy, and Tommy are all in their comic-accurate costumes as well. Then we see Wanda once again testing Pietro, asking him who the bully was that tried to steal his boots when they were orphans, but he brushes off the question saying, "I know I look different." And Wanda asks him, "Why do you look different?" And his response is super interesting. He says if I found Shangri-La, I wouldn't want to be reminded of the past either. And in the comics, Shangri-La is a mythical land founded by Vision in an arc that has never been explained. In Marvel Mystery Comics number 45, Vision was portrayed as the immortal guardian of Shangri-La, the one who discovered the secret of eternal life and strives to prevent the unenlightened from attaining it. But what this means is that Wanda created her own version of Shangri-La here in Westview, where she's happy and she's brought her loved ones back to life, but she changed them slightly so as to not be reminded of their deaths. And that's not the only thing he says that's weird. Pietro also asked Wanda where all the kids were. In the past episodes, there were no children, even though in episode 2, the main theme was that they were doing things for the children. He then says, "I assume they were all sleeping peacefully in their beds. There's no need to traumatize them other than the occasional holiday cameo. You've handled the ethical considerations of this scenario as best you could. Families stay together, Their personalities are almost the same, and they've even got better jobs, basically telling her that what she's doing isn't wrong, and that it's a big leap from giving people nightmares, calling back to when she pitted the Avengers against each other in Age of Ultron. And before this episode, I already assumed that Pietro would be controlled by someone, most likely Mephisto, but this confirms it. Not only does he know things that she hasn't told anyone, and he's manipulating her into believing that what she's doing is good, but he also asks how she did it, which could be Mephisto's way of trying to take over. But then we see this. Just like with Vision in episode 4, we see that Pietro could actually be dead, because we see all the bullet holes from Age of Ultron, which he'd previously made fun of, even though it's technically not the same person. Also, I find it interesting that in this episode's intro, it goes over the entire cast, but when it gets to Quicksilver, it says "and Pietro Maximoff as himself," which seems like the show's and Wanda's subconscious way of affirming that even though he doesn't look the same, this is the same Pietro. We then transition over to Vision, who's made his way closer to the edge of town, and we see that Wanda is losing control. The people here are stuck in a continuous loop instead of acting normally, and as he gets closer to the Hex Wall on Ellis Avenue, the people stop moving altogether. And this is where we see Agnes, who's wearing a witch costume. It's not exactly comic accurate, but it once again hints towards her being Agatha Harkness. What's interesting though is that up to this point, Agnes didn't seem to be under Wanda's control, but she takes a wrong turn in the quote-unquote town she grew up in and almost leaves Westview. This leads to her falling into a trance, and Vision once again uses his powers to reveal a person's real personality. She then tells him that he's dead, because as far as everyone is aware, Vision died fighting Thanos, and as it turns out, Vision doesn't remember anything before Westview, or even that he was an Avenger. Then Vision puts Agnes back under Wanda's control, and she sorta gets rebooted. Finally, Vision tries to break out of Westview, and we see that Wanda's hex barrier starts to break him apart, even though he's made out of vibranium. But as soon as he re-enters the town, he's fine, which means that the town might be the only thing currently keeping him alive. Wanda realizes that Vision is trying to escape, and actually expands the hex, transforming the entire sword base, as well as things far outside of the town like a used car lot. Hayward, Monica, and Jimmy are able to escape, but Darcy gets sucked into the town. And lastly, this episode's commercial was really weird, and it didn't really have any tie to Wanda's past, but what I think it was referring to is that even with all the powers that Wanda has, she can't stop the people she loves from dying. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Are you excited for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? What role do you think Rintrah will play in Doctor Strange 2? And what did you think of WandaVision episode 6? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you'll never miss another video. Thanks for watching, and remember to wash your hands and stay safe.